Okay, so I'm back with another video, and today I decided to answer all the common questions about a foldable phone, but in particular the Z Fold 5. So this video is to help you decide if a foldable phone is for you. So I'm going to go over, like I said, all the popular questions that I think come up and some of the issues that people have about the Fold and maybe why they are not so sure about buying it. And of course, if there's any questions that I left off, you could put it in the comments there, and I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. First question is, if you buy this phone, will you be more popular? Maybe, but not likely. If you buy this phone, will it make your marriage better? Not likely, also, because you just bought an $1,800 phone, so you probably made things worse. You should probably reference my other video on how to secretly buy expensive tech gadgets. That might be helpful for you. So let's get serious for a minute, and maybe even for the whole video. So let's get into it. So can you use the S Pen on the front screen? No, you can't. It doesn't work at all, only on the inside screen. So the other big question, and the reason why a lot of people are probably anxious about getting the foldable phones is it as durable as a candybar phone? And the short answer is no. But there are a little bit of a nuance to that, because the outside of this is Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which, if you had a comparable slab phone with Gorilla Glass, it should be just as durable. And I'd argue maybe the Fold is a little more durable because you have this hinge here. So if it actually did fall and hit this hinge, I mean, the hinge would dent and scratch and all that kind of stuff. So as long as you didn't hit it too hard to damage the folding mechanism, you actually probably would protect the glass a little bit. If you had a candy bar phone and it hit, the edge here and it was all glass, well, then, the cracks can go across pretty easily. But with the hinge here, that might give you a little extra protection. And you also have this thick spine here, which again is not glass, so that's metal, which might give you a little extra protection. But the outside is probably not what most people are concerned about. It's the inside screen that most people have a concern about. And this is definitely not as durable as the outside. This is definitely a more delicate piece here. You could scratch this if you just push your fingernail in there hard. You'd have to put some pressure on there, but you could damage it with that way. You could scratch this very easily if this was dropped open like this. That would definitely scratch the inside here. This is definitely not Gorilla Glass. There are some issues with it peeling, the protective screen here peeling off. There's occasionally some issues with, some dead pixels along the foldable area here. Those things I mostly think are manufacturing defects. Now this screen on the inside here is definitely not as durable as the outside, but most people are not carrying this around one hand, walking around and, having a cup of coffee in one hand and walking around with the phone out like this. Most people don't do that. They're walking around with it closed. They're reading their text or news feeds on, the front screen here, and it is a smaller form factor than most other slab phones, so you've got a pretty good grip on here, so less likely to maybe drop it, I think. And again, the inside screen is very well protected here. You got the outside, Gorilla Glass here, Gorilla Glass here. You got the hinge. So it does require maybe a little extra care because of the folding mechanism, but otherwise, durability, I've had no issues with it. I've treated this just like any other phone. And each generation of foldable phone gets better and better. So there's less issues with the dead pixels around the fold line. There's less issues with the protective film peeling. So at this point, I think they pretty much have it set. So I think I wouldn't be concerned about buying this just because of the durability issues. So the other concern with the inside screen is the folding. How many times can you fold it like this, right? That is the issue with the folding mechanism. Is it going to give out? How long is it going to last? Well, Samsung tested this for 200,000 folding cycles. So that means, opening and closing 200,000 times. And then I saw somewhere that they did it for 400,000 times before it failed. So if you just go with the 200,000 number, and if you plan to keep the phone for 2 years, well, that's 270 folds per day. Now, you might be looking at your phone 274 times, looking at the time and your newsfeed and your notifications and everything else, but I don't think you're opening and closing this 274 times. So I don't think you have an issue with the folding mechanism there, again, as long as there's no defects with it to start with. Now, another question is, can you take the screen protector off on the inside here? Yes, you can. I've seen it done. But I don't think it really makes a difference. Some people think if they take it off, they get rid of that crease or make the crease a little shallower. I didn't notice a difference when people did it, so I would not recommend it. Samsung does a lot of testing with these things, and they decided they needed that protecting screen cover, so I would leave it on. Is it water resistant? Yes, same water resistance as any slab phone. Is it dust resistant? Well, that's where we lose out a little bit here because most modern slab phones are IP68. The 6 is the dust resistance and the 8 is the water resistance. This Z Fold 5 is IP X8. So the X is no dust resistance at all, technically, and the 8 is the water resistance, so same as everyone else. Some other folding phones are not as good as that. Some of them have no water resistance even. I don't think it's an issue too much, but if you do work in a dusty environment, construction zone or whatever, then this is probably not the phone for you. I would be extra cautious bringing this to the beach or any kind of dusty environment, because you could get some dust in the folding mechanism, and then that would cause some issues. Then if you get some dust on the actual screen here, and then you're closing it, or you're wiping it down or something, there's some dust on there, you possibly could scratch the inside screen. So again, no dust resistance on this thing. So what about the insurance? If you're going to get a Samsung foldable phone, I would definitely get the insurance on there. I think it's about $12 a month, a little bit under that with the tax. You could also add theft and loss to this if you want. And I haven't used Samsung insurance, but supposedly they will cover their screen replacement for $29. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, like I said, because I haven't used it. I'm just going to leave a link in the description of where you could read all about the insurance, and then think about if that's right for you. But I think for a foldable phone, I would definitely get it. Can you see the crease is another big question. Well, of course you can see the crease. Now here, I mean, very easily, even on multiple viewing angles here, you could see that crease pretty easily. But with the screen on, you could still kind of make it out, but not as much. And then if you are going to be, doing your videos or playing games or, scrolling through things, that crease just disappears. I don't notice it at all. So no issues with the crease with time. So I wouldn't worry about that. Again, you could notice it, but it just disappears when you're doing anything on the phone. What about the inside camera? So the inside camera is right up here. And in the video, I'm looking here, I could really can't even see it. And I'm always looking at my, my signal strength and my battery life and all that kind of stuff. And the camera is right over there. Really can't notice it. Even if I'll come in here, I mean, just that little bit you can see. But with the screen off, it's very easy to see, obviously right there. But with it on, I mean, kind of hard to see that. So I wouldn't have any concerns about that. Very invisible. If you're watching a movie or anything like that, that thing just disappears. Okay, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. I have a few more things to go over. If you feel like this video is helpful at all, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Go ahead and like it. So I typically review phones and smartwatches and other gadgets and things like that I think people would like. I focus on how-to videos where I go into all the software updates and go through all the menus and find all the extra features that you have and some extra features that you didn't know about and how to customize everything. So if you're interested, please visit my channel, see what videos I have there, see if there's anything you like, and consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Now, back to the video. So how good is the Samsung Slim S Pen case? Not too bad. The S Pen just sticks out a little bit there. It has this mechanism where you just push down here and this pops out really easy. There were some complaints about this little mechanism breaking and the S Pen falling out, but again, that might just be a manufacturing issue or a quality control issue. I don't know. Mine, I have no issues, and I had a couple of these, and no problem at all. It does give you a little protection on the cameras, so it's got a little lips on the side here, so you can put it down without bothering the screen. And again, it does cover the camera, so no problem with putting it down on that side. And the lips are not thick enough to have any kind of issues with swiping, so no problems with that. The only thing is, as you can see here, the hinge is completely unprotected, so if it does fall, it definitely would hit there. So again, this is nice for putting it down on things, and you're not going to scratch it, and it does give you some protection here. It holds the S Pen, but there's really no protection per se on this, drop protection, I should say. Okay, so another big question is, how is media consumption on this device? You got that big inside screen, right? Honestly, it's not that great. So this is Netflix here. You can see the big black bars on there. And the area here is kind of about the same as a slab phone, maybe a little bit bigger, but not that much difference. Now you could, open it up and do this, but then things get cut off. So then, we just go like that, and that's how you watch it. So it's, again, okay. Now, this is with Netflix. There's a couple other media things that might be better. So let me show you those. So this is YouTube. This is my channel here. Having it like this, you get 2 columns of thumbnails, which is nice, right? And then we'll scroll down here, and then we could just, pick any kind of video. And that's a bigger video than you would get on a clamshell phone. So that's pretty good there. And as you're, watching the video here, you could be going through the comments. No problem to do that. We just go through here. We could be scrolling through comments as you're doing this. So that's great. And then this is holding it in the portrait mode. If you do the landscape mode, then you got, again, the thumbnails over here. And again, you could do the comments and the description over here, real nice, while you're doing the video, which is kind of nice. It'd be very difficult to do that on a regular slab phone here. And now we got the screen here. We could also blow this up, right? If I make this bigger, So that's pretty nice. I mean, look how big that screen is. The black bars are still there, but that's definitely bigger than any kind of slab phone that you would get. Now, the other thing that people do on this is look at the internet and do their news feeds and things like that. If you're doing social media, this is great for that. And then you could also have it split screen where you have something on one side and another social media on the other side, or you could be reading news on one side and whatever. Okay, so this is the mobile version of Yahoo. Obviously big screens here, real easy to read, no problem there. But also sometimes some sites are not completely optimized for mobile sites, and if you have to, get a drop-down box where you put, filling in some information or a little window that you're trying to fill in, sometimes it's not always available on the mobile screen. So we got to go into the desktop version for that. So on Samsung Internet, we could do that real easy. Here's the desktop version. And so look at that. I mean, this is the desktop version, and, I could read all this very easily, honestly. But then also, you could do this with the desktop version also. And so we got the stories here, and, we could just pick one, and I could open up into another window. So now I could be having another screen over here. Maybe I loaded up a video or something like that, and while it's running their ads or whatever, I could still be reading my news over here, or I could be doing, two things at once. And you can see here, I mean, I could read both sides very easily, no problems at all there. Now, what about the taskbar here? So there's a lot of different ways to get into split screen. There's about 8 different ways, and I'll hopefully be doing a video real soon about showing you all the ways we could do split screen on this, and then you can find which one works best for you. But we also have the taskbar here. So the taskbar I have hidden, and I just, you flip up and it pops up. Now, if you want to do something else here, you just hold it. Now I could open up a third screen right here, or I could make it like this. So now I got, again, 2 screens side by side, and then we could do this. We could do it on top and bottom instead of side by side. We could always, we could flip it like that, and I could always just adjust the size there. So real easy to kind of make any kind of adjustments on this, and multi-screening on this is very good. Like I said, I use it all the time for that. If I want to copy something from one side to the other, or I'm comparing prices on something or specs on something, I could be looking at one site and going on the other site back and forth very easily. So another big point of contention is the battery life. The battery life on this is good, not great. If you have a slab phone, you probably will get a better battery life. This has a 4400 milliamp battery. Most of the flagship high-end phones have a bigger battery, like 5,000 milliamp hours. Now, if you get a smaller phone or an older phone, the battery might be smaller than this one. But you still only have one screen to power. And, battery life is very subjective. If, you have the screen on very bright, if you have the screen on a lot because you're doing a lot of notifications or you're using the screen a lot, if you have a bad signal where you are, if you have a lot of apps running in the background, there's a lot of factors that would change what's going on with your battery life. But basically, if you had this versus your candybar phone and you had the same exact usage, you would get more life, most likely, out of the candybar phone. Keep that in mind. But with this one, just to give you an idea, I mean, I've seen a lot of people get 6-7 hours of screen on time on this. I don't use it that much, because I'm working during the day. So, I maybe use it 3 to 4 hours of screen on time. Sometimes I do get the 6 hours of screen on time, but I start my day 5:36, and this phone goes all the way throughout the day till I go to bed, 10 o'clock or so. This lasts, and I still have probably 20-30% left at the end of the day. Sometimes 20%, sometimes a little less, but it definitely gets me through a day without any issues. And that's what I'm shooting for with the phone. If it gets me a day and a half, then I'm charging it in the middle of the day, and maybe I'm not by a charger in the middle of the day, and I don't need it to die on me. So having it go more than a day, if it's not going 2 days, then really it doesn't make a difference for me. So this gets me through the full day really almost every time. Maybe once or twice it hasn't. Now, what about the cameras? So the cameras are basically the same setup that the Samsung had on the S22 and S22 Plus. And I have no problems with the cameras. I mean, some people might compare it to another product and, compare night shots or, things like that. And there's a subtle difference here or there. But if you're using this camera like most people are using it, taking pictures of the kids and your family and vacations and, things like that, I don't think you're going to have any complaints with the camera. You got the 3 cameras here. You got a main, an ultra wide, and telephoto. Now, the telephoto only has 3 times optical zoom, which I would have preferred 5 times optical zoom. The S23 Ultra has the 10 times optical zoom, which is nice. But maybe if I could have had 5 times, that would have been nice, because every once in a while there are some things that I'm trying to zoom in on and it just doesn't have enough. So that I would have preferred. The front cover screen camera here is 10 megapixels. I don't use it all that often, but I haven't had any issues with it. The inside camera here, this is the one, again, that we're hoping to be hidden, and this is 4 megapixels. And everyone complains that the camera stinks on this one, and it's supposed to stink. Really, this is Samsung only added this so you could use the big screen here when you're doing video chats for your benefit, and then at least other people would be able to use it for video, and, on a Zoom call, they'd be able to see what you're doing, instead of you using this screen for your video chatting. You can open it up, use the big screen, and then you just have to use that little camera there. And I'd rather have the camera blend into the background like this and be crappy quality than having a big, hole like that when I'm watching movies or, doing my, doing scrolling or multitasking or something like that, and having that big black hole locked out all the time. So can you use the phone one-handed? That's another question. I mean, if you can use any other slab phone, those are probably harder to use one-handed. This one, I mean, you have a good grip on this, no problems getting to the top, and, from side to side, no issues at all. Some people complain it is too narrow, and, it is a little narrow and a little tall, but that kind of makes it easier to use. Samsung's design on this is kind of your notification panel where you can interact with your if you get a text or you get some notifications or some emails or something like that, you can kind of respond to them quick and do something. But really, they wanted you to be able to use the screen on the inside. This is where you would be using most of your stuff. That doesn't usually work out that way, honestly. I think I'm using the phone on the outside probably 80% of the time. So throughout the day, if I'm checking notifications or I get an email or I need to email someone or text somebody or something like that, I'm using the front screen here. I'm not usually opening the phone for just a couple of minutes of use, but sometimes, when you're out and about and, someone texts you, you're not opening up the phone like this and, trying to respond and doing stuff like this when, you have something in your other hand and you got one hand like this. No, you have it closed, and this is where you're going to use it most of the time, and I had no problems getting used to this one. Does it have wireless charging? Yes, of course. It's 15 watts, which is, kind of standard, not super fast, but kind of standard. The wired charging speed is a little disappointing. This is only 25 watts, whereas, other companies have phones that charge, much faster. Does it have powershare? Yes, you can put your watch on here, your earbuds, and it will reverse charge them, which is great. What's the difference between the Fold 4 and the Fold 5? Well, there's not that much difference. The Fold 5 is a little slimmer and a little lighter. It does have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 coming from the Fold 4. Had the Gen 1. The Z Fold 5 has 1750 nits on the inside screen and the outside screen, and that's 30% brighter than the Fold 4. And the outer glass on the back and the front is the next generation of Gorilla Glass, which is the Victus 2, which is slightly more durable than the Fold 4, but probably not much of a difference. If you were going to drop the phone and crack the Fold 4, you would probably also crack the Fold 5, I would think. So another big question is, does the Fold 4 S Pen work on the Fold 5? Yes, no problems. It works just the same functionality as the Note 5 S Pen. So this is the Fold 4 S Pen. I like this one much more. This is much easier to grab. It's more like a actual pen. This is the Fold 5 S Pen, and you can see here it's definitely thinner and smaller, and it's more like with the Note S Pens that people are probably familiar with. So this is the S Pen from the Z Fold 4, and this is for the Z Fold 5, but either of these will work on either of the Fold phones. So if you have one, go ahead and use it. There is also a Pro version of this, which has the Bluetooth in there, so you could, click the button and take pictures and move your music track and things like that. But you do have to get a Fold S Pen to be used on the Fold phone, so you don't damage the inside screen. Another question is, do you need a screen protector for the front screen? No. It has the same Gorilla Glass as a comparable candybar phone. If you used screen protectors in the past, then maybe use it on this one, but otherwise it's not needed. Is it heavier than other phones? Yes, it is heavier. Just to give you an idea here, the Fold 4 is 9.3 ounces and the Fold 5 is 8.9 ounces, so not much of a change there. But for reference, the S23 Ultra is 8.25 ounces and the iPhone 15 Pro Max is 7.8 ounces. So the Ultra and the Pro Max are about 8 ounces and this one's just under 9 ounces, so not a big difference between the two. Does it have an SD slot? No, it doesn't. And before you ask, no, it also does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack either. Those are gone, sorry. Does it make noise when you open and close it? No. So no noise at all here, except that, clanking together. The folding mechanism was improved from the Fold 4 to the Fold 5, and the Fold 4, I don't remember if it made a noise right in the beginning, but it did make a little creaking noises as time went on. This one, completely quiet, and actually it feels better than the Fold 4, so hopefully this will be even more durable. Does it have an under-screen fingerprint scanner? No. It has the fingerprint unlock right here on the power button, which I actually prefer. It's very easy to do, and when you open the screen, it's the same unlock right there. I think it's easy just to have it right here, and again, it works perfectly. So is the Fold better than a regular phone? I think so. I think it just offers you much more versatility. You got the regular screen on front, a little smaller, but you could do all your basic stuff here. And then when you open it up, I mean, you could do a lot of multitasking on here. Definitely, you could be more productive when you're out and about, and it could replace your tablet and maybe even your computer, depending on how you work. Definitely adds a lot of functionality to your phone use. So I would definitely recommend one if it's in your budget. Definitely go for it. The slab phones, from generation to generation for the last several years, it really hasn't been much change. The camera is slightly better, this is slightly better, but basically it was good enough several years ago, and it kind of served all the purposes. And now having more RAM, a quicker processor, it really doesn't add much to the experience, and the phones are expensive. This one is definitely expensive as well, but it adds something new. This has allowed me to use my tablet much less just because I have everything right here and it's always with me. So now, if we're just keeping it between the Samsungs here, should you get a Fold 4 or a Fold 5? Obviously, you can get a Fold 3, but the Fold 4 is a pretty big upgrade from the Fold 3. So I'm going to just give you some advice between the Fold 4 and the Fold 5. The improvements to the Fold 5 are not that significant and not overwhelmingly noticeable. So if you have a chance to get the Fold 4 at a great deal, I would definitely go for that one. I wouldn't hesitate at all. Everyone has a different cost factor, and money is different for everybody. But if you can get it from maybe another $200 or something like that, I'd probably bump up to the Fold 5. Otherwise, stick with the Fold 4. I think you'd be very happy with it. So those are some common questions that I have seen about the foldable phones in general, and then some particular to the Z Fold 5. So hopefully I covered most of them. If I missed a couple, or if there was something you thought I should have included, please put it in the comments. So if you made it this far, consider subscribing. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.